I met with Congress. I was at a meeting of all 50 governors and talked about just AI danger. And I talked to everyone I could. No one seemed to realize where this was going.
I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warhead. And mark my words, AI is far more dangerous, far.
There was a video that you tweeted about one of those Boston Dynamic robots. And you're like, in the future, it'll be moving so fast you can't see it without a strobe light.
Yeah. You could probably do that right now.
And no one's really paying attention too much other than people like you or people that are really obsessed with technology. All these things are happening. And are you honestly, legitimately concerned about this? Is like AI one of your main worries in regards to the future?
Yes, it's less of a worry than it used to be, mostly due to taking more of a fatalistic attitude. It's just outside of human control. Now, the thing that's going to be tricky here is that it's going to be very tempting to use AI as a weapon. It's going to be very tempting. In fact, it will be used as a weapon. The danger is going to be more humans using it against each other, I think, most likely. That'll be the danger. Yeah.
I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads, by a lot. And nobody would suggest that we allow anyone to just build nuclear warheads if they want. That would be insane. And mark my words, AI is far more dangerous than nukes. Far. So why do we have no regulatory oversight? This is insane.
There's this sort of like a collective AI in the Google sort of search, where we're all sort of plugged in as like nodes on the network, like leaves on a big tree. And we're all feeding this network without questions and answers. We're all collectively programming the AI, and and Google plus all the humans that connect to it are one giant cybernetic collective. This is also true of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these social networks. They're giant cybernetic collectives.
Humans and electronics all interfacing and constantly connected.
Yes. Constantly.
One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot over the last few years is that one of the things that drives a lot of people crazy is how many people are obsessed with materialism and getting the latest, greatest thing. And I wonder how much of that is, well, a lot of it is most certainly fueling technology and innovation. And it almost seems like it's built into us. It's like what we like and what we want, that we're fueling this thing that's constantly around us all the time. And it doesn't seem possible that people are going to pump the brakes. It doesn't seem possible at this stage when we're constantly expecting the newest cell phone, the latest Tesla update, the newest MacBook Pro. Everything has to be newer and better. And that's going to lead to some incredible point. And it seems like it's built into us. It almost seems like it's an instinct that we're working towards this, that we like it.
Mm-hmm.
That our job, just like the ants build the anthill, our job is to somehow or another fuel this.
It feels like we are the biological bootloader for AI, effectively. We are building it. And then we're building progressively greater intelligence. And the percentage of intelligence that is not human is increasing. And eventually, we will represent a very small percentage of intelligence. It could be terrible, and it could be great. It's not clear.
Right.
But one thing is for sure, we will not control it.
Well, it's a question you've been asking for a long time. I think it's a question that's come to the forefront over the last year, where you begin to realize that it doesn't necessarily, I think we've all been focused in on the idea of artificial superintelligence, right? Which is clearly a danger, but maybe, a little further out. What's happened over the last year is you've seen what I've been calling artificial stupidity. You're talking about, algorithmic manipulation of social media. Like we're in it now. It's starting to happen. What's the intervention at this point?
I'm not really all that worried about the short-term stuff. Things that are, like narrow AI is not a species-level risk. It will result in dislocation, in lost jobs and sort of better weaponry and that kind of thing. But it is not a fundamental species-level risk, whereas digital superintelligence is. So it's really all about laying the groundwork to make sure that if humanity collectively decides that creating digital superintelligence is the right move, then we should do so very, very carefully. This is the most important thing that we could possibly do.
Do you think that it's likely that we will merge somehow or another with this sort of technology and it'll augment what we are now? Or do you think it will replace us?
The merge scenario with AI is the one that seems like probably the best. Like
for us.
Yes. Like if you can't beat it, join it.
Yeah.
Your phone's memory is essentially perfect. You can remember flawlessly. Your phone can remember videos, pictures, and everything perfectly. Your phone is already an extension of you. You're already a cyborg. Most people don't realize they are already a cyborg. That phone is an extension of yourself. It's just that the data rate, the rate at which, or the communication rate between you and the cybernetic extension of yourself that is your phone and computer is slow. It's very slow. And that is like a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. And we need to make that tiny straw like a giant river, huge, high bandwidth interface. It's an interface problem, data rate problem. Solve the data rate problem, then I think we can hang on to human-machine symbiosis through the long term. And then people may decide that they want to retain their biological self or not. I think they'll probably choose to retain their biological self.
Versus some sort of Ray Kurzweil scenario where they download themselves into a computer?
You will be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any time. If your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit.
So you tried to warn people. You talked about this pretty extensively. I've read several interviews where you talked about this, and then you just sort of just said, "Okay, it just is. Let's just." And you, in a way, you're by communicating the potential fear. I mean, for sure, you're getting the warning out to some people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was really going on the warning quite a lot. I was warning everyone I could. You ever met with Obama and just for one reason, like,
just
watch
talk
out.
about AI.
Yes.
And what did he say?
He listened. He certainly listened. I met with Congress. I was at a meeting of all 50 governors and talked about just AI danger. And I talked to everyone I could. No one seemed to realize where this was going.
Is it that, or do they just assume that someone smarter than them is already taking care of it? Because when people hear about something like AI, it's almost abstract. It's almost like it's so hard to wrap your head around it. By the time it already happens, it'll be too late.
Yeah, I think they didn't quite understand it, or didn't think it was near term, or not sure what to do about it. And I said, an obvious thing to do is to just establish a government committee to gain insight, before you do oversight, before you do make regulations, just try to understand what's going on. And then if you have an insight committee, then once they learn what's going on, get up to speed, then they can make maybe some rules or propose some rules. And that would be probably a safer way to go about things.
It seems, I mean, I know that it's probably something that the government's supposed to handle, but it seems like I don't want the government to handle this.
Who do you want to
I
handle
want
it?
you to handle this.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. I feel like you're the one who could ring the bell better. Because if Mike Pence starts talking about AI, I'm like, shut up, bitch. You don't know anything about AI. Come on, man. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He
Yeah,
thinks
but I
it's
don't have the
demons.
power to regulate other companies. What am I supposed to?
Right. But
you
maybe
know.
companies could agree. Maybe there could be some sort of a. I mean, we have agreements where you're not supposed to dump toxic waste into the ocean. You're not supposed to do certain things that could be terribly damaging, even though they'd be profitable. Maybe this is one of those things. Maybe we should realize that you can't hit the switch on something that's going to be able to think for itself and make up its own mind as to whether or not it wants to survive or not, and whether or not it thinks you're a threat.